everyone and welcome to our channel. This is the Forgotten Formula One. What can you expect from us? We love storytelling, we love Formula One, so basically this is it. We have another channel in Italian, La Formula 1 Dimenticata. So as you can tell, I'm not English, I'm Italian, and I will bring you some Formula 1 stories you may haven't heard of. A lot of mispronunciation. I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. I'm learning, I'm studying. I swear I'm studying. And a lot of correct Italian teams and drivers pronunciation. I hope you will like it. I invite you to subscribe to our channel. I'm very calm. I should say, oh, subscribe to our channel, but Italians don't talk like that in English. Please be patient. Times for the memes will come. But for now, I will start speaking with you about speaking, not talking. It's talking the right. Telling. I'm sorry. I will tell you the stories about 10 drivers, Italian drivers that were in Formula One, and you may not remember all of them. I'm so bad at this. So we will start at number 10 with Paolo Barilla. You can see him in my screens here. So what can be more stereotypical for an Italian Formula 1 driver than having a pasta brand as a surname? And what is more funny is that Barilla is really the son of Barilla, the one from the pasta industry. He's the grandson of the founder of the Barilla company. So he really is a pasta driver. He didn't have much luck in Formula One, running for a race in Suzuka 1989, replacing Pierluigi Martini. He couldn't even start the race due to a clutch failure. Then he completed almost the entire 1990 season with Minardi, but didn't have much luck. He failed to qualify for 6 times and didn't have great results at all. For the last 2 races he was replaced by Gianni Morbidelli. Now he is vice president in the Barilla industry, so he returned to the family business. However, he wasn't that bad as a driver, because he won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1985, and above all, he managed to combine 2 of the most Italian passions in the world, motorsport and food, so hats off to him. Enzo Ferrari used to say that the perfect car is the one that breaks down right after the finish line. So if we follow this philosophy, we can say that the perfect race driver is the one who crashes right after the checkered flag. And I think Vittorio Brambilla would have agreed with me. His only podium in Formula 1, in fact, was the race win at the 1977 Austrian Grand Prix. That car, the March, was iconic with its unmistakable orange livery, and that race was chaotic. It was soaking wet. The rain was continuing to fall down and the race was red flagged after 29 laps. Brambilla, who started P8, was leading the race, and when he saw the checkered flag, he started to celebrate and he went over the finish line, threw up his arms for the joy, and his March went straight into the barriers in turn 1. So what can we call that if not a legendary finish? If I say to you 1989 Japanese GP, you will only think about one image: Prost and Senna crashing into each other at the Casio Triangle. But not many can remember that the winner of that race was Alessandro Nannini. Well, Senna won that race, but then he was disqualified and the race win went to Alessandro Nannini. The Toscanian was driving for Benetton at that time and he was having some good years. Before that he scored 4 podiums, and the next race in Adelaide he was P2, so it wasn't a casualty. The next year, 1990, he was having a hell of a season. 3 podiums, battling for the race win in Hockenheim with Senna, and other 3 races in the points. But his career was cut short by a helicopter crash after the Jerez Grand Prix. He survived, but the recovery was long and very difficult. He never had the chance, sadly, to compete in Formula 1 again, apart from 2 tests, one in 1992 with Ferrari and with Benetton in 1996 thanks to Flavio Briatore. He was a great driver without any doubt, but very unlucky. If Minardi, not Manardi, Minardi. If Minardi stayed on the grid for so many years, you can thank this man behind me, Pierluigi Martini, and no, it's not a drink. Let me tell you a little story. In 1988, the Italian team was about to disappear from the grid, so Giancarlo Minardi called Martini for what was meant to be the team's last race in Detroit. He promised to the driver a second chance with the team, and he was a man of his word. So even if it was the last race he would ever run in Formula 1, Giancarlo Minardi wanted to keep faith to his word and give Martini the seat for that race. As the year before, there were a lot of retirements in that race, and Martini, who started P16, found himself running in P6. They chose not to change the tires for the fear of losing that position, and it was the good call. Martini scored a vital championship point, saved Minardi from failure, and kept his seat in the team for many years, becoming the living symbol of Minardi in Formula 1. He ran 8 seasons for the team and scored championship points in most of them. But do you want another reason to absolutely love this man? Here it is. Pierluigi Martini is a proud owner of not one, but 2 of the legendary 6-wheeled Tyrrell P34, which occasionally he brings out on track at the historic Minardi Day. So if you want to meet the legend himself and see him running in the legendary P34 cars, be sure to be there on the last weekend of August. Formula 1 in the 80s was a mess. I'm talking with my hands too much, but I'm Italian, I cannot help it, so mamma mia. Formula 1 in the 80s, I was saying, was a mess, with a lot of teams and drivers struggling in the midfield, aiming for a result that could change their season and their career forever. Somehow, most of them at least had a chance. Teo Fabi was one of them. He started in 1982 with the Tollman team, but that season was a complete disaster as he never saw the checkered flag. 2 years later he went to the Brabham team. Also here it seemed that the season wasn't meant to be an eventful one, but at the Detroit Grand Prix, starting from P23 on the grid, he took advantage of 20 retirements and literally survived to the finish line in a track which was in awful conditions, clinching P4. But this is not over yet, because Martin Brundle was disqualified from that race and then he was promoted to P3. Not a bad way to score your first point in Formula 1. His best season in Formula 1 was his last one, 1987, for Benetton. He scored a second podium in Austria in front of both Senna and Prost, and had 4 other races in the points, finishing P9 in the championship. Then he went to kart and prototype races. Bruno Giacomelli, one of those drivers you didn't know they scored a podium, and you didn't know they raced for McLaren. In fact, he started with McLaren in 1977 and 78, driving old M23 and M26. Then he went to Alfa Romeo. He became the driver everyone in the first 80s in Italy associated with the Alfa Romeo team, especially after the incredible 1981 season finale. He was P8 at Monza, but back then it wasn't into the points. Then in Canada, he scored a wonderful P4 from P15 in the grid. His great race was put into the shadow by Gilles Villeneuve, who ran for 3 laps with the front wing in front of his helmet and Lafitte winning from P10, but it was a super drive. Then in the next race, the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the season finale, he qualified a great P8 in front of Nigel Mansell, Mario Andretti and Patrese, finishing 3rd behind Alan Jones and Alain Prost. It was the first podium from Alfa Romeo since the 1951 Spanish Grand Prix. Dominances in Formula 1 have to start somewhere. The Red Bull One started in 2005 with 3 drivers, David Coulthard, Christian Klein and Vitantonio Liuzzi. Vitantonio Liuzzi! He drove in 4 races for Red Bull in 2005, scoring a point in Imola. After that year he was sent to the all-new Toro Rosso team, for which he scored the first championship point of their history. In 2007 he made a stunning double-point finish with teammate Sebastian Vettel in China. Then he went to Force India, where he took Giancarlo Fisichella's seat and had the best season of his career, scoring 21 points in 2010. Then he went to another team, the HRT, but as you may recall, that car wasn't exactly a speed monster. I said before that he contributed to the present Red Bull success. I think I may be exaggerated a little bit, but I like to think that. Luca Badoer. It's not Badoer, it's not Badoer, it's Badoer. Venetian people may kill you if you mispronounce it. Trust me. Most of you may remember him from a disastrous experience as a Ferrari driver in 2009, but you may not know that this man has worked behind the scenes for many years, helping out Michael Schumacher's dominance with Ferrari become a reality. He has been Ferrari's test driver for so many years, collecting miles and miles with the cars, getting to know every single Maranello's winning car in detail. Sadly, he was offered the chance of a lifetime in the worst possible moment. Tests wasn't allowed as before, so he wasn't trained, he didn't know the car at all, he just did a filming day with it, and one of his most known moments remains the 1999 European Grand Prix at Nürburgring. He was sitting in P4 with a Minardi, but with few laps remaining, the car broke down on the way to the pits. Those points may have changed his career and the entire Minardi story. Luca jumped out of the car and broke into tears. One of the saddest images in Formula 1, if you ask me. Sorry? Well, if you look closer to our logo, you may recognize someone. Yes, it's him, a very talented driver who earned his reputation in Formula 1. He went racing in Japanese Formula 2 for Leighton House, and at the end of the year, his boss Akira Kagi asked him to stay. Ivan replied he had 2 offers from 2 teams in Formula 1, but it was a total bluff, it wasn't true. But then Akagi said, okay, so how much does it cost to run in Formula 1? So they took a Formula 3000 car, the March 86B, and they adapted it to Formula 1 standard. With that car, Ivan Capelli managed to score a point in Monaco. And then a young Adrian Newey came and the team started to fly. He scored 3 podiums for March, almost winning in Estoril 1988 and Paul Ricard 1990. Ivan's talent couldn't go unnoticed, and then he went to Ferrari in the worst possible moment, like Luca Badoer. It was a complete disaster. The car was simply not good, and the atmosphere within the team was very heavy that Ivan didn't feel at home at all. That was the tombstone on his career, because after 93 Grand Prix he didn't want to become a paid driver, so he preferred to stop. He became a very popular commentator for Italian TV, and we miss him on TV every Sunday. And then, last but not least, Andrea De Cesaris. The Roman driver was a massive name on the grid in the 80s, 90s, sitting behind the wheel of 10 teams in a 14-year Formula 1 career. He currently is in 17th place in the all-time classification of Formula 1 starts between Gerhard Berger and Nico Rosberg, just saying. In his career he achieved 5 podiums, 1 pole position and 1 fastest lap with 59 points. We talk about times where only the first 6 drivers scored points, so I think it's pretty good. We could spend an entire video just talking about him, and we will, so I will just tell you a couple of episodes. 1991 Mexican Grand Prix. De Cesaris has no more fuel in his Jordan and stops in the main straight. He jumps out of his car and starts pushing it towards the line. Then the Italian journalist Ezio Zermiani, who was just behind the pit wall, saw him, jumped over the barriers and starts interviewing him in the middle of the track. Just think about this, at 35 years old he managed to score a brilliant P4 at Monaco for Jordan. Class just doesn't go away. He may have been a ruthless, aggressive driver. He had many crashes that at the time he was known as Andrea the Crasher, but he was a heck of a driver. So, we finished our top 10 it wasn't a top 10, it wasn't ranked, it's just for fun. Italian drivers you may not remember. I hope you liked the video. I invite you to subscribe our channel, and we managed to, mamma mia.